Episode 178. Improvement is the nature of life.
You're listening to the very best podcast in the world on health, wealth, and happiness. Please remember to leave a review and share with all your friends and family. And here is your host, Lars Hilser.
And there we are, folks, with episode 178 of the very best podcast in the world, your only source in the universe for personal supremacy through health, wealth, and happiness. Boy, what a totally motivational start, right? What are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about improvement and self-improvement in pretty much every sense of the word. But not before we do housekeeping. So sharing is caring, as every day I'm going to get on your nerves with this to share this content far and wide, simply because it's purely altruistic, right? So it's about helping people. So if the episode you're hearing today or heard yesterday or heard 3 months ago may not really entirely resonate with yourself, but Uncle Mike, for instance, has an issue where this episode could bring Uncle Mike forward in his life. Boy, aren't you an asshole not for sharing it, right? So in that sense, reflect when you listen to these episodes and think, not necessarily only is it helpful to me, but who else is in my immediate or distant vicinity that could actually benefit from listening to this. Because this podcast is free. It's not yet monetized. I'm thinking, but I don't really want to, because then, whatever, right? So you get the point, right? And sharing is easy. Sharing is not really complicated. Go to the very best podcast in the world.com. Under every episode, under every page, under everything, there is, a whole list of blingy buttons to share the content through every social media network. Likewise, there are subscription buttons to your favorite podcast subscription service. That kind of ordeal, if you haven't subscribed yet, which you should. So in that sense, what are we going to talk today? Today, we're going to talk about improvement is the nature of life. And the episode is based upon one of these fucking motivational memes I've found, which are which try to be motivational. And for a lot of short-sighted people, that may work. But then, if you start asking questions, it's like, even to the original poster, it's like, I don't know, right? So they take these things, I don't know where they get them from, take them out of their ass or whatever, post them. And then everybody's like, oh, yes, amen. And we need to go down that route. And, then comes the fucking paywall and that kind of ordeal, right? No paywall here. Sorry, that doesn't happen here. Anyhow, and this thing was this picture, whatever meme or whatever at the end of the day it was, condensed, said that improvement is the nature of life. And, I started reflecting upon that when I was taking a shit. And I said, this is interesting. Let us investigate further. So I flushed the toilet. And then went ahead and, I don't know what I did. I think I actually did some yard work or whatever. And I started contemplating and thinking about this. I said, okay, improvement is the nature of life. And it was true, right? So no matter how hard you try, you're not going to get any worse at anything. Think about it, right? You start out as a baby, right? You get evicted from your mother's womb, and it's like all of a sudden you're in this crass, fucked up world, and then you start, learning shit immediately. You learn who your mother is, right? If you're lucky, you learn who your dad is. If not, shit. Be a better dad. It immediately starts when you get born into this world, right? You learn the sensation of touch, right? Which, think of it. Your mother's womb is quite restricted in space, right? So, there's no people touching, grabbing you, which immediately happens when you get born. You got grandma doing the squeaky cheeky, and you've got the doctor, who gives you a pat on the ass so you start breathing, and all of a sudden you've got all of these sensations going on, right? And it's like you learn pretty much as the first thing, this sensational overflow that you get upon eviction. You start smelling all of the, sterilization chemicals in the OR, in the ER, or in the OR, whatever. You see the light, right? The bright lights that are, shown upon you, so immediately it's like, you open your eyes for the first time. It's like, fuck, what the hell is this? Right. And then you learn the sensation of touch. Like I said, you learn the sensation of air touching your skin, right? You learn all of this stuff immediately within the first 30 or 40, 50 seconds of your life. You get this sensational overflow, right? And the stingent perfume, the stingent sweat, the pungent stench of the doctor who hasn't showered in weeks because he's doing overtime. Then you've got the disturbing smell of the perfume of the nurse, who is there with you in the OR. Then you've got, you're supposed to bond with your mother. It's like, but who is she, right? Who are all of these assholes around here? So the point is, right, you start learning the moment you get born into this world, right? And then, take the next steps. It's like you learn, you got people babbling in baby speak at you, and you're like, okay, I'm going to do baby speak. I'm going to start using my vocal cords and, that kind of shit. And then you eventually get to the point where you start walking and, you fall down and it hurts and you're like, okay, I got to do better because if I fall down, it hurts. And, probably your instincts are telling you could injure yourself. And, all of these sensations coming on. And this carries on throughout fucking life, right? And, if you start fucking around with the wrong people, you're going to get your ass kicked. It's just that fucking simple. It just fucking hurts, And that's kind of like the point where desperately trying to improve yourself may defeat the purpose of the concept. Right? Because the concept is that the more you practice something, and I don't mean, like practicing football or cramming for a test or whatever. I mean, just by being in nature, just by being in a natural surrounding and being aware of the fucking present moment. And I mean fully aware, not with your AirPods Pro blasting, Van Halen or whatever, whatever suits your fancy. I mean, like really being there, really being present, really being in the moment and accepting it, breathing it in, listening to the sounds, looking at the vibrant colors, feeling the air on your skin. And it doesn't even need to be clean air, to make a point. I lived in some shitholes on this world and, you could take a shower, go out for 2 hours, come back to the hotel, take another shower, and you would be just the water that would come off you is just fucking pitch black because there's so much exhaust and dust and whatever. Coming to the point though, right? Improving is a natural thing. You can enhance it. You can improve yourself, or you can improve yourself by learning how to improve yourself. Much easier, much better. How do you learn faster? How can you achieve to adapt faster to a new environment? Right? What is so bad? Why am I not talking to people? Am I shy? Did anything bad ever happen to me? Those kind of things. That's what you need to take into the equation. However, and that's the bottom fucking line, is that improvement is the nature of life. Hope I was able to get the point across. Should be, after all calculations, Wednesday. And I hope you have a good and successful Wednesday. If you've already had that, have a good night. And we'll be in touch tomorrow. Bye, folks.